Peter and Dave here. Well, this is our first episode of Real Estate Mythbusters. We have 3 questions that we're going to deal with that our intrepid marketing coordinator came up with. The first question is what, Dave?
Number 1, should you list your home higher than what it's actually worth?
I can answer myth number 1 because I list homes all the time. That's my specialty. The reality is this: most folks, when I meet with them, they obviously want to sell their house for the most money that they possibly can. And to them, because they live in their house, it is the most special item that they own. But when I compare the house against other houses in the neighborhood, at the end of the day, what we are dealing with is buyers who don't have that same love affair with the house. So they are looking at the house dispassionately. And if this house is, say, 5% more than other houses in the neighborhood, 1, they're not even going to look at it. 2, if they look at it, all that they're doing is using that house to compare the true value for a house in the area, and they're going to offer on the house that's less expensive. It's just that simple. At the end of the day, it's really difficult for me to say this, but a house is a commodity. So we have to get our pricing perfectly, and if we price it too high, all you're doing is selling your neighbor's house. And quite frankly, that's not what you want to do when you put your house on the market.
Absolutely, Peter. And from a buyer's perspective, you've got it exactly right. If I'm representing a buyer and we see 2 homes on the same street, one is overpriced and one is priced correctly, we're not going to see the one that's overpriced. We're going to see the one that's correctly priced, because in our heads, we don't know if the seller for the overpriced home is willing to accept an offer based on the actual value of their home. So we're going to go see the house where we know that the seller is willing to accept an offer close to the value of their home.
This myth is absolutely busted.
Myth number 2. The best time to sell your home is in the spring.
Well, I can answer that one. Short answer is absolutely yes. That's when you get top dollar for your house. But there is a caveat to it. If you're buying another house, you're also buying that house at the same top dollar. At the end of the day, it's the difference in the pricing between your buying house and your selling house, and those tend to generally stay in the same percentages. If you're only selling your house, I will absolutely coach you on the perfect time to sell your house, and generally that's in the springtime. That said, is we sell homes all year round because people have different needs, different times of year, and that's the reality of it. We sell about 45% of our houses in the springtime though, so keep that in mind. If you have a long time to get your house prepared, and if you can control the timing together as a team, we'll make sure that you time it at the absolute peak of the market, and we'll get you top dollar.
And from a buyer's perspective, the spring, it's also an excellent time to buy. You've got way more options out there, there's more listings, there's more to choose from. So spring is an excellent time to buy as well. But also, where you talk about spring is the best time to list a house, there's great opportunities to buy in other times of the year as well, where it's not such a great time to be listing your house, because there are just not many buyers out on the prowl in December when there's very few listings on the market. There's very few buyers out on the streets. So there are opportunities to sneak in there as buyers throughout the entire year as well.
And it's interesting because if we look even closer to it, we have different times of the year, even different weeks of the year that are better than others. We don't list houses over Easter weekend because people are celebrating Easter. Same with all of the major holidays. If you see any of my listings come on the market, they're the week afterwards when people come back into the market. It's a very much a scientific thing that we do at the highest level when we sell homes. So, and back to Dave's point, if you're buying in August, if you're buying in November, you're buying in December, January, February, those are often times that buyers have the advantage in the marketplace. So consult with us so we can help you find the right timing.
This is indeed not a myth, this is a fact.
Nice. Myth number 3, you must have 20% down payment to buy a home. I think almost all of us know that that is false. We can buy a house with as little as 5% down. With a great lending partner, we can ensure that you're fully qualified with that minimum down payment. We do want to make sure that you know everything you need to know when you're buying a house. Dave, can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so when it comes to down payment, there are lots of different options out there for you. Speak to your mortgage broker, speak to your banker, talk about what your price point is, see what all of your options are. Because sometimes you're gonna need 5%, sometimes you're gonna need 10%. Often for us self-employed folk, we need more than 5%, but it depends on your situation. Also depends on the price point of the home. If you're looking to buy a home that's $1 million or more, you need 20% at that point. Is that correct, Peter?
If you're over $1 million, then you fall in a different classification with CMHC. So it absolutely is a negotiation and changes the minimum down payment side of it. The other thing that we have to, of course, keep in mind is our closing costs. So we want to factor in between 2.5% and 3.5% to close your house. So you need, in fact, not just the 5% down, you kind of need 8.5% down in order for you to really buy a house. That is probably more the myth part of what this is, that you can just buy a house for 5% down. No, you need a little bit more money in order for you to get it actually closed so you can move in and that you can afford to live in there too. This myth is busted with conditions because you really do need to spend time with us and our banking partners to ensure that you're fully qualified, you know what you can afford to purchase, so that when the time comes and you find that right home, you're not going to be disappointed. Mythbusters episode 1, done.
Boom!
I want to create the best experience for my client in Canada, quite frankly.